Welcome back to College Crossfire. Let's remind everybody of the score. We've got Ariea with 7, Steve with 11, and Sean with 9. Texas was flying high after a sweep of top-ranked LSU a couple weekends ago. They took that momentum into the first game of the Stanford series and came out with a huge 4-0 win. After that, it was all Stanford. Texas scored a total of 3 runs over those last 3 games while giving up 21 after pitching a shutout in Game 1. So just what went wrong for this team against the Cardinal? Let's start with Ariea.
I mean, you could really base it on a lot of things. I think one of the biggest things, like we were talking about last week, with having like a younger kind of core, is just losing a sense of confidence, and that happens a lot in baseball. If you kind of feel like things are shifting with how elongated games can be, you're not going to have that same sense of like a killer mentality as they had after the first game, which, may I mind, I did predict that they were going to win 2, which was the first 2. They did not win 2. They won 1, though, so I felt happy for a day, and then after that, it was absolutely downhill. But coming off of a 9-0 loss, they did bounce back relatively well, so I will give Texas that. But other than that, it wasn't really a good weekend against Stanford. It was tough to watch.
No, Texas got down early in Game 2, and that was pretty much it for them going forward. Steve?
It's tough after the LSU series because, once again, expectations went through the roof, but I think Texas kind of crashed and burned a little after that. 5-game win streak was going to end at one point. Looked good in their first game, but then just road struggles against a very quality Stanford team, and then the pitching suffered, and Texas lost their last 3.
Yeah, Texas definitely faced a much stiffer pitching staff in Stanford. LSU not so good. They were better offensively than they were on the mound. So that could have contributed to Texas' struggles this past weekend. Sean?
Yeah, definitely. Coming out of the LSU games, you're excited about the pitching. Pitching looked good. The pitching kind of took a backslide. The young arms they kind of depend on going forward just didn't work out. And then, of course, 3 runs in the last 3 games. You're not going to win any baseball games doing that. It's really simple as that. The pitching pitched poorly, the hitting hit poorly. That's how you lose games.
Yeah, everything that could have gone wrong for Texas did, and as a result, they lost those last 3 games. So, Sean, you're getting the point. Moving on, the NFL offseason is a time for scouting at the Combine, Pro Days, free agency, and trades. 2 of the biggest trades happened to involve star wide receivers. Antonio Brown was traded by the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Oakland Raiders for next to nothing. And just yesterday, Odell Beckham Jr. was traded to the New York Giants to the Cleveland Browns for a 1st and 3rd round pick, as well as safety Jabril Peppers. But which trade of the 2 was more shocking? Let's start with Steve.
Which trade's push notification shocked me more? Now that's the Odell Beckham one going to Cleveland. Which trade's detail shocked me more? That is Antonio Brown going to the Oakland Raiders for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. Now you have a wide receiver who's probably top 2 in the league by most standards, along with Julio Jones, and he is traded for next to nothing, a 3rd and a 5th round pick, which will likely be forgotten in the future. And it's just a head scratcher. I mean, the Steelers they had to be sellers in the market. So, because Antonio Brown definitely went out of Pittsburgh. But this is a guy who's chasing Jerry Rice. He's had 6 straight seasons with over 100 receptions and over 1,250 yards, and the best you can do for him is a 3rd and a 5th round pick. Now, that's just head-scratching by the Pittsburgh management here. I think Steelers could have done so much better, gotten better offer for him.
I think Pittsburgh at this point was just trying to get rid of him. They didn't want to deal with the drama anymore, so they were just going to take basically any offer that they could get. Sean?
I think the trade that surprised me the most was Antonio Brown to the Bills. I definitely did not see that coming. Antonio Brown didn't see it coming either. But the trade that actually happened, that surprised me most was Odell Beckham. I mean, he's 4 years younger, 3 years younger than Antonio Brown. They just signed him to a long deal last year. I mean, that's not typically when you trade one of the best receivers in the game. They got a better package, but overall, it's not a good package for, again, one of the greatest wide receivers, in recent memory. So I say the Odell Beckham trade. I mean, because Antonio Brown was asked to be traded like 2 months ago.
Yeah, Odell just came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
like Odell even just out of nowhere. Although kind of the way that the Giants have been going, it's not all that surprising.
Yeah, no bad move is surprising with the Giants.
Exactly, but still surprising nonetheless. Ariea?
Yeah, I completely have to agree with Sean on that one. I think it's insane that Odell Beckham got traded, but I will say this: I have been a detractor of John Gruden, but no first-round pick was traded for the Raiders, and the future looks bright in Oakland or Vegas. I don't know where they're going, but whatever the case may be, it does look good for them. So that's all I'm going to say. Very happy for Antonio Brown. No journalistic biases in this for the Raiders, but of course, happy to see that happen.
Yeah, I think that was probably the most surprising thing for me, was to see Antonio Brown going to Oakland without Oakland giving up a first round draft pick. So, all right, you're getting the point. We're moving on. IndyCar opened its season this Sunday at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. However, it failed to draw even 500,000 viewers for the season opener. Has a week off this Sunday before it makes its way to Austin's Circuit of the Americas on March 24th. Is this a good move by IndyCar to come to Austin, or maybe not? Let's start with Sean.
It's a great move to come to Austin. Well, who wouldn't want to come to the greatest second city in the world? No, it's a great move. Austin famously does not have any professional sports teams for now. Austin FC, just wait on it. But you know, there's a fan base here as for Formula One. There's going to be a fan base here for IndyCar. I think it's a good move.
Yeah, we got the fan base already established, so just kind of build on that
Exactly.
that we have right now.
It's a racing city.
Yes, it's a racing city. No more UT. It's a racing city. IndyCar. Ariea?
Still waiting for that Austin FC, by the way. Neither here nor there.
Wait on it.
Just wait on it. But what I will say is this: look, IndyCar, schmindycar, I don't think it's going to work out here in Austin at all. What I do think is going to work out here in Austin, and let me just say, got a new contract renewal and more guaranteed money. I know we're talking NFL here, but I'm talking an actual product, WWE. All I'm going to say is getting more money, more views than IndyCar, and it should come to Austin. That's all I'm going to say about that.
All right, so WWE.
WWE team.
Steve?
Let's go!
Jonathan,
Bago!
that's the issue.
Okay.
We were talking about Austin,
Here we go.
Texas. We were talking about a city that couldn't keep Fat Sal's open.
Oh,
trying to get
R.I.P.
IndyCar, trying to
R.I.P.
get people to
Fat
get
Sal.
to that. They couldn't keep Mujo open. They couldn't keep Austin's Pizza open. The entire drag closed, and you're expecting people to show up to IndyCar? Nah, that thing's gonna close in 2 months too, because the rent's too high here. No, IndyCar will not work out in Austin, just like every restaurant on the drag failed. Absolutely.
IndyCar.
Hey, Madam Mams had to move. They're okay, though.
All I know is that Steve is very fired up about this. I very rarely see this come out of Steve. So, Steve, you're getting the points. You're taking us to break. That's it for now. We've got rapid fire up next. Stick around. It wasn't a great weekend for either Texas men's basketball or baseball. The basketball team opens up Big 12 tournament play tomorrow, but where do they go after that? And the baseball team stumbled at Stanford on the heels of a huge series sweep against LSU. All this and more on College Crossfire.
Yes, we'll get into it. Always enthusiastic, unbelievable, hard-nosed.
All right, let me explain why Aaron Judge is getting it. You can boo me all you want.
I knew Texas was going to win, right? And then one of the Texas team was going to lose. Cannon. I don't like the cannon.
Wait, you don't like this?
All right, I'm done.
This is all chaos.
Welcome into College Crossfire. Thank you for being here with us tonight. I'm your host, Jonathan Polasek. Let's go ahead and meet our panelists. We have returning champion on for what, the second time this semester? Oh, he's counting. He's counting. You just won once. You just won once. Ariea Bastami. Ariea Bastami. Ariea, how you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Hopefully, I can make a comeback and get 2 back-to-back wins. But with the panel here, that's not happening. So here we go.
We'll see about that.
see.
We'll see. Up next, we've got Steve Helwick. Steve, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well tonight.
All right. Doing pretty well. Locked in, yes he is. And last but certainly not least, we have Sean Marlin Mapes. How you doing tonight?
It's not my middle name. I'm
Yes,
doing
it is.
good.
It is tonight.
All right.
It's Marlon.
My parents are psyched to hear that. Named after a failing baseball team. There
You know
we
it
go.
happens.
Let's go. Adam.
Sean Adam Mapes, there we go. Glad to have you all on tonight, so let's just jump on in. The Texas basketball regular season is officially over. Texas ends the season with a 16-15 record and on the bubble in terms of making the NCAA tournament. While Texas did have some huge wins against UNC and Kansas, Texas also had some head-scratching losses, such as against Radford. So what do you guys make of the program this season and of this season overall? Let's start with Ariea.
You know, being 8-10 in conference play, losing your last 2 games, and you know, whatever happened to Kerwin Roach happened to Kerwin Roach. I don't know what to make of the season, to be completely honest with you. It's been a whirlwind of emotions, especially after the Radford loss. I'm looking at this Texas team like, wow, that's really bad. So I'll say this. Whatever happens, if they get into the tournament as a 16-16 team, my mind is going to be blown, and I'm excited to see what this team could do if they go into the tournament. If they do get in, win one game. Just do that. Just do that. That is all I can say about this Texas team. Mind-boggling to say the least with this season.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting season to say the least, but not very successful.
Not at all.
Steve, what do you think?
Well, when you compare it to preseason expectations, I think Texas is doing just about what you expected. This was a team without Mo Bamba, where we didn't know what the future of the Longhorns really was.
Shaq West.
But then they go out, they beat North Carolina, and they achieve the highest ranking of the Shaka Smart era. And then the expectations rise from there, and they have failed to live up to them since, finishing with a losing record in conference play, losing games like Radford at Oklahoma State, which those losses could just prevent them from making the tournament if they lose to Kansas, or maybe even if they go 1-1. Because now Texas is vying to become the worst team ever to get an at-large bid in the tournament in terms of record, because they'd have 16 losses. So the season, it depends what expectations you compare it to, whether it's preseason or post-North Carolina game expectations. But this Texas team, they were average this year.
Yeah, I think Texas kind of just got everybody's hopes up, and then they really showed Longhorn Nation who they really were. So, yes, took off the mask.
They
Sean?
are who we thought they were. By the way, you mentioned the UNC game. Remember when this team beat UNC?
No.
Remember
No.
That was this year. That was not that long ago. But yeah, it's definitely, every year in the Shaka Smart era, you're looking for the kind of turnaround of this program. I think it's safe to say this is not a turnaround year. Maybe it's turned around the other direction. I mean, if you miss the tournament, it's not a great year. I mean, simple as that. I don't need to be wearing a microphone to tell you that. Just not a good year. So yeah, definitely how I evaluate this season, not good, Chief.
Yeah, definitely wasn't. Honestly, it wasn't.
just not it.
Texas is on the verge of finishing at 500 this year and not making the tournament, so just wasn't good. So Ariea, you're starting us off with 1 point. Steve and Sean each with 2. Texas ended its season losing 4 out of 5 and was flat out dominated in its last 2 losses to Texas Tech and TCU. Let's focus on the TCU game, where Texas was essentially playing for its tournament life. Does that loss signify the end of the Shaka Smart era? And anyone can jump in at any time.
I'm going to say not now, because here's the caveat. It's a $12.9 million guarantee for Shaka, and if Chris Del Conte wants to pay that kind of money, sure, he can leave just like who left? Oh, that's right, Rick Barnes in Tennessee, and we paid him all that money. Texas paid him all that money, and he got money up until 2015. So if Texas wants to do the same with Shaka and pay him 12.9 or even just a little bit less, if Chris Del Conte can get Shaka Smart to pay, I don't know, $10 million and take that, then maybe I'd see him leaving now. But I don't think Shaka Smart's leaving until the new stadium is being built, which I want to say is 2021, 2022. So he's going to be here for a while.
That's a pretty long while, if you ask me.
It's definitely not great when the first thing you mention of like he might keep his job. It would be so expensive to fire him.
Yeah.
Probably not a good sign when your biggest pro is like it'd be a hassle to get rid of him.
Well, yeah.
It's a lot of money, but I mean, $13 million for the University of Texas. I know it's basketball, it's not football, it's not where all the money goes, but $13 million, you find that, I mean, I hate to bring in the tennis situation.
Oh, no.
Just take a couple of bribes and you're already there. I mean,
Oh, we're going in tonight. We're going in.
Alrighty.
you just find $13 million the old-fashioned way.
Exactly.
Yeah, Shaka's not going anywhere. $13 million still owed to him, and is it really Shaka Smart's fault? I mean, Texas, he's had such horrible luck at Texas. I mean, he's getting all these good recruits, and they're leaving after a year, not getting time to develop guys like Mo Bamba. It'll be Jackson Hayes this year. He's had Jarrett Allen. Isaiah Taylor left after his junior year unexpectedly. And then Shaka Smart's lost Andrew Jones to leukemia, and just some other unfortunate situations like Kerwin Roach suspension, Tevin Mack suspension has happened. So Smart has had so many punches thrown at him, and still he's made the tournament 2 times, and he could make it a 3rd time this year. I mean, he's doing his best, I think, with the cards he's given, and I think you have to keep Shaka.
But do you put that on him, or do you put that on like unfortunate, like something that's unfortunate? Because I think it's more so of a thing like if you're not a good head coach, it's not going to work out because of those punches. I'm not saying that Shaka's a horrible head coach. I'm just saying with all of those things you listed, do you think it's more so because he can't get a grip on this team? Because Kerwin Roach, a guy who's a senior, if he's still doing stuff that we can't even tell and know why he's leaving for, like, I don't know. I do not know. But like, I feel like that in some regard is more so on the coach. So, and I agree, he's going to stay in Texas because of the money, but it's just, yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
As a coach at Texas for any of these big three sports, you got to learn to deal with the distractions. You got to learn to deal with the distractions at any big school. And so
And he has to make the postseason.
you have to make the postseason. That's something that he may struggle to do this season. But Ariea, you're getting 3 points, and Steve and Sean each another 2. So even with Kansas looming and a small chance to sneak into the tournament, do you think that this team should make it to the big dance this season?
I mean, I don't think it should, because just what Steve said, that they would be the worst at-large team ever. I mean, that's not the kind of records you want to be breaking. It's not something of like, yeah, if they're the worst team ever to make the tournament, yeah, they should make the tournament. That's ridiculous. That they should not make the tournament if they're going to be the worst one ever to make the tournament. That doesn't make sense.
It'd be kind of funny. It'd be kind of funny.
It'd be great content. Wouldn't it be great?
Steve,
I'm
Ariea?
going to say no, they do not belong in the tournament unless they secure that automatic bid, which requires winning the Big 12 tournament. But they do not deserve an at-large bid because 16 losses, you don't deserve it. There's teams waiting on the outside, teams like Belmont, which are, 26-5, and still even some Power 5 or whatever they call basketball, still strong teams from like Big East and American that have 20 wins that are competing with Texas. Like TCU, for example. TCU's beaten Texas twice and has 20 wins already. Texas, they'd have 16 losses, and if you can beat everyone in the nation, that doesn't matter if you can also lose to everyone in the nation. 500 teams don't deserve it.
Fair point, and I'm going to play the devil's advocate because of the previous 2 answers. There's something in March, baby.
No.
There's something. It smells nicer in March, doesn't it? It just does, and I think Texas can do something special.
Remember VCU?
Despite everything I've just detracted from this team, they are a team that did beat Kansas, and they are a team that when Dylan Osikowski can score more than double digits, which hasn't happened a lot this season, if they do that, who knows? Like I said, the Ides of March, it smells nice in this month, doesn't it? Okay, with that being said, I think they win a game in the tournament. I'm going to say it.
In the Big 12 tournament or the NCAA tournament?
Both.
Wow.
Oh, Lord.
Wait, why do you keep saying it smells good in March?
Because
is that a saying? I don't know.
No, I really
okay,
just came
okay.
up with it.
I was going to give you a point for that, and then you just said that they were going to win a game both in the Big 12 and in the NCAA tournament. So
They beat Kansas before it could happen.
it's just not going to happen
They
again.
beat
You're getting
UNC.
0 points for this.
No.
Steve, you're getting 3. Sean, another 2. So now let's say that Texas is going to make the NCAA tournament. How far would they have to go in the Big 12 in order to make it? How far would they have to go?
I think if they got to the finals, that would be enough just because of a lot of the quality wins. I think the selection committee would still put them in if they got to the finals just because of the Kansas wins and the North Carolina on beating all those other good Big 12 teams.
Okay. Get
Yeah,
to the finals.
they would at least have to win a game or 2. I mean, they're not going to go like 0-1 and make the tournament. They have to win at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, I completely agree. They're going to have to win 1 or 2. And like I said earlier, before anyone else did, I said they had to win a game. So you maybe make that 0 into a 1 point, Jonathan. Just saying.
Oh, wow. Wow, begging.
Begging.
Doesn't look good.
It really doesn't, but you know what? I'm going to give it to you anyways. Each of y'all are getting a point. Last question. So give me a quick prediction for this Kansas game tomorrow.
Disappointment.
I'm going to
Whatever happens, you won't be happy.
I'm going to say with Kerwin coming back in, I'm going to say he's going to have over 15 points. I'm going to say dilly just like he did in the last game against Kansas. I think he's going to have a 16-point game, and I'm really hoping here. I'm really hoping here for this team. But I'm going to say Texas loses by 5, though. I think it's going to be a good combination from those 2 guys, and maybe Coleman can learn how to drive for a game. And then if that happens, who knows with this Texas team in that game, but I say they still
Gotta get
lose.
his license.
Yeah,
I'll say
true.
68-62, Kansas wins narrow, and Texas controls for most of the first half, and it comes down to whether Jace Febres can connect from the 3-point range. If he's great, Texas will actually sneak out with a win. If he's bad, Texas gets crushed, and if he's anything in between, it's going to be a close game, and I just don't think this is a typical Kansas team that screams Kansas where it would be an automatic win for the Jayhawks. It's not a typical Kansas team.
Yeah, this isn't your Kansas team of the last 15 years.
This
that's
isn't your
for sure.
slightly older brother's Kansas
Exactly.
team.
Exactly. So Texas does have a shot. So I don't think they're going to win this game, but I think they should be able to keep it close for most of the game. I could see it easily getting out of hand towards the very end, but they could keep it close.
Anything's on the table.
Honestly, yes. Ariea, you're getting 2 points. Steve, you're getting 3. Sean, you're getting another 2. That's it for now. When we return, we're talking about surprise trades in the NFL, and IndyCar is coming to Austin in just a couple of weeks. Stick around. Welcome back to College Crossfire. It's time for Rapid Fire. Let's go ahead and remind everybody of the score. We got Ariea with 8, Steve with 12, and Sean with 10. Still anyone's game because in Rapid Fire, each question is worth 2 points, and you can jump in at any time. So spring practice has arrived for Texas football. Texas looks to build off a very successful year 2 under Tom Herman. But the start of spring practice means the end of relaxation for these athletes. So it's time to place yourself in their shoes. It's the last day before spring practice starts. What are you doing, or how are y'all spending this time?
You know, I'm just gonna relax, sit back, maybe go on a boat.
Okay.
And I'm just
Go on a boat. I like it.
put
I
on
like
the fishing shirt and let's go fishing on the
Very
boat.
original. I will give you that.
You know what? I'll say this. I think instead of being on a boat, maybe I'm just going to sit back, relax, do the first 2 things, and recap over The Bachelor. Let's talk about that for a little bit. It was just a very strange ending, you know. I don't really understand what happened between the relationships there, and Hannah B is the new Bachelorette. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. So if I'm a player, I'm kicking back with Sam or whoever, and I'm talking about...
Talking about The Bachelor, okay.
I want to talk about The Bachelor.
Steve?
He used to play for the Clippers.
I'm not talking about. I'm not gonna talk boats or Bachelor probably. But,
Killer bees.
So I think I would just relax. I mean, last time before spring practice, you got to eat something. So I think I'd probably go to a donut shop and eat some round.
Go to Round Rock Donuts. Donuts. Okay. Okay, I like that, but I like the boat just a little bit more. I just like the boat a little bit more. Gonna go fishing. So Sean, you're getting the 2 points. Moving on, dog sledding. You're not gonna find that here in Texas. And while in other sports you have to rely on your teammates, in dog sledding you've got to rely on the dogs. And sometimes they won't cooperate. That was the case when Nicholas Pettit had to drop out of a race because his dogs wouldn't mush. So let's say you're in a race. What would you do to get your dogs to mush?
I don't know what Cuba Gooding Jr. did in that movie.
Snow dogs?
Snow dogs! I don't know what he did, but I'd probably do something similar along those lines. Also, if I had any dog on my team, I'm taking Luna. Sweet Luna Blue, wherever you are, I love you, and mush mush. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Bringing Luna back. All
Bringing
right.
Luna back.
Steve, Sean?
I'm all about inspiring and motivating these dogs here. So we're going to watch a whole screening of Air Bud before you race. Just show dogs their true capabilities, with the things that they can achieve if they just put their minds to it. And I know my dogs can be successful if they watch this movie, and they know it in their minds too. It's the power within, and these dogs can succeed.
The power within Air Bud. Okay.
Like Thunderjack said in Snow Dogs, the wonderful motion picture, you gotta bite the dog on the ear. I'm not saying you do that. I'm not saying you do that, but that's how I heard it gets fixed. Honestly, I don't know. I know that one time when I was small, my dog dragged me across a field at a Blessing of the Animals event at St. Teresa Catholic School. So I've never had problems with getting my dogs to mush. They normally just drag me wherever.
They do it anyways. Okay.
How
Okay.
did nobody say bring Bevo to the event?
Oh! I don't know. I don't know.
Feels like you just said it.
Yeah.
You just said it.
I mean, you're getting the points anyways because of the Air Bud thing. I like that a lot. So, Steve, you're getting the 2 points. Moving on to the last rapid fire. You know what? I'm going to make this one worth 3 points. So anybody but Ariea can win.
Let's go, baby!
The NBA playoff format has long been a hot topic throughout the years. It hasn't helped that the Western Conference has been the far more dominant conference recently, with maybe this year being an exception. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has been open to ideas on how to improve the playoff system. So how would you try to change the current system, or would you just leave it as is?
I think the way I try to change the current system, listen, there's a lot of beef in the NBA. You got people like Jimmy Butler. You got people like Joel Embiid. Twitter fingers turn to trigger fingers. Let's switch it up a little bit. They box each other one round, and whoever wins that round gets home court advantage the entire playoff series. That's all I'm going to say about that.
All right.
Serge Ibaka, yeah.
Serge Ibaka, Marcus. Yeah, exactly.
The highest paid player in the league, Serge Ibaka.
Steve, Sean?
I'm going to say, you know, NBA is all about competition. And what's more competitive than a game of cards? It's something that players play anyway. I say, high stakes poker sets the seating, whoever wins, and then, just put them all around the table, put it in center court. Still, because you have to rent out the arenas, you have to get the fans involved. You just play poker. They show it on the big screen.
They're going to be cheering for both.
Yeah.
It's a flush!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just waiting for the queen in the hole. Come on.
All right, so poker.
I think the only change that they need to do is before games, they need to reward points to teams before games, and you do that by you get one lucky fan from the crowd to one-on-one a team's best player. So we could see Russell Westbrook versus a Jazz fan. While we're seeing Donovan
boxing
Mitchell
myth.
versus a Thunder fan. So those are going on opposite ends of the court, and whatever the score is by the end, the surplus of points if the NBA player wins goes to that team.
Yes.
What happens if the fan wins?
That's negative points.
Yes, I mean, I like that. I like that a lot. That's interesting. Kind of like the poker too, but you know what, Steve? I'm gonna give you the 3 points and the win. Sorry,
I could
Ariea.
have just taken the points. I would have lost.
Yeah, but that's not as fun. So Steve, you're getting the 3 points. You're getting the win. Do we have time for FaceTime? We do have time for FaceTime. Take it away.
Well, it's been a rough day, and I'm going to give a message out to LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge, I know you said today that you want to end your career in Portland, and you don't need to do that. You owe that city nothing. I mean, you left on kind of bad terms in 2015, and you've done everything for the city of San Antonio, including leading the team with a quitting Kawhi last year to the playoffs and a 1 playoff win over the eventual champion Golden State Warriors. And you deserve to stay in your home state of Texas the rest of your career. So please, LaMarcus Aldridge, think about your decision. Think about all you've done in San Antonio, and please stay in the Alamo City.
Dame time.
That was very impressive. So LaMarcus, if you're out there, if you're watching,
Is he watching?
Oh, he's watching.
He's watching.
Just so you know, just like Dame was last week.
Yeah.
So.
We're big in the NBA community.
Oh, absolutely. That's all the time that we have for tonight. Congratulations to our winner, Steve Helwick. There will be no press box or Crossfire next week because of spring break, but we will return on March 27th for another episode of College Crossfire. Don't forget to follow at TSTV Sports on social media. And for all the panelists and everyone in studio and master control, I'm Jonathan Polasek. Have a wonderful evening.
Woo! Congrats, man. The most